Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. It is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back for another weekly Astro Alert. Let me tell you something. I feel much better than I did last week. I'm going to talk about how the eclipse and the other transits, the very strong Saturn week we had last week, how that showed up in my life. Let me tell you, though, it showed up by me not getting a lot of sleep. However, having a ton of energy, but it left me not feeling mentally good because I need my sleep. I don't know about you, but I love my sleep. I have a moon in the first house, so sleep is very important to me. And when I don't get a certain amount of sleep, I don't function well. However, as I get older, as my kids get older, as life gets busier, I have learned to function without sleep. I can get up. I said, okay, I didn't sleep last night, but I still got to bust through the day. I can put on that mindset. But these last 3 days, I have been sleeping so good, like a baby. And I woke up today just feeling happy. I think sometimes we discount how important sleep is, and it's like the number one thing we need, honestly, as far as health. You can ask the health professionals. I'm not a health professional, but I do know a few things, and it's very simple, but so many people are not getting a solid night's rest of sleep. Now, I feel like I should jump into an advertisement for that. I wanted to do this whole sleep thing, but I have nothing. I take melatonin. I got a great bed by Nectar. Those are the things I have right now. But a lot of it is emptying out the stress of the mind. Sorry, I don't know why I went onto that little rant, but I have this book with the moon on it. I was waking up feeling so grateful for not being tired. That's that. So I want to remind everyone to follow me on social media, Cosmic Colleen, 1C across the board. I would definitely probably head over to TikTok because I have been... I sit with this, I come up with my notes, I talk about the astrology of the week, but then as I'm out there living it and experiencing it in myself, my family, my friends, and my clients, some more things come to me. So I usually update that. However, last week, we had Mercury squared Saturn, and it was like technology fail number one. I couldn't get anything to work. And I'll talk about that. I won't go more into that. So this week, though, what we're going to start out talking about is... Yesterday, Mercury was sextile Pluto and the sun was trine Neptune. I was going to talk about it a little bit, but my internet was still not working that well yesterday. And I think that's also because I got Mars retrograde literally directly. It has been for a week as well, within 4 degrees. Right now, it's 1 degree away from my natal Mercury. So shit's still not working well for me. Today, though, we have Venus trine Jupiter retrograde. Wednesday, Venus moves into Sagittarius. Mercury trine Jupiter. Then Mercury moves into Sagittarius. Then Friday, the sun sextile Pluto. Mars square Neptune. Sun trine Jupiter. So you know how last week I said it was a very strong Saturn and Uranus week? This week, we got a really, really strong Jupiter week. We got a Jupiter-Venus week, and so the benefics. So I think it's going to be feeling good. I think a lot of new beginnings are going to start this week. Okay, so let me take a deep breath. So Venus trine Jupiter, what we can expect today, and we're going to feel it for these next couple days the strongest, harmony and understanding when it comes to the matters of the heart. And that's not just romantic, but that's also all of our other intimate connections, friendship, family. And when I say family, mostly the women in the family and our children. We're going to feel creatively juiced. We're going to have an easier time communicating to our children, and they're going to have an easier time opening up to us. We're going to feel open-minded to new happiness and joy or new ideas of what brings us happiness and joy. And a lot of us, I think... I love this transit. Again, it's trining, right? A very powerful thing. Trines deliver. Venus and Jupiter retrograde right now. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's going to be a lot of breaking through the storm. And whether that's the creative storm, whether that's the emotional storm, the love storm, there's some sort of breaking through a storm here or breaking through another side. And I think that's really big before Venus then moves into Sagittarius, which happens the very next day, and the Mercury the day after that. And so Venus trines Jupiter. So it's kind of like that last hope that all of a sudden turns into everything you had wanted it to be, that, you know what I'm talking about? This is my last hope. This is my last effort. This is the last time I'm going to try to make this work. Well, with this, I think we can actually expect it to turn positive and be in benefit for what we need it to be. And I think there's going to be this week a strong sense of wanting to grow spiritually, breaking past spiritual bounds. I think this week is going to be a big week about breaking past spiritual bounds within ourselves, and coming together in happiness, saying, you know what, I'm sick of not being happy. I'm sick of kind of being miserable in my own bullshit or just not feeling good. So now I'm going to do what I need to do. And you might not know yet. If you don't know, it will be coming. And by doing, I mean by being. And by being, I mean a spiritual being. That is the purpose of Jupiter. The Jupiter is to give us spiritual wisdom to grow. And then when we take that spiritual wisdom and we grow, we take that and it grows like branches, right? Or the roots of a tree. It spreads. That spiritual growth then spreads into all aspects of our life. And so this is the beginning of that. And I think this is a great way to start to end the year and go into the new year. If you guys remember this time last year, Venus was not very happy. We were in the mix of Venus entering Capricorn, so we're seeing a lot of our deep hidden karmic love issues. And Venus was it was conjunct Pluto, and then Mars. There was a lot of not good things happening. Venus was in her shit from pretty much the end of November until April. It really wasn't out of there. Venus was stuck between malefics. It was a hard time for Venus. So this year, we're ending this year on a much more positive note and a much more, understanding and belief in our love, joy, and happiness. So when Sag moves into I said that opposite. When Venus moves into Sag this week, so again, it's trining Jupiter, and Sagittarius is Jupiter's home sign. So again, there's going to be a sense of accomplishing something Venusian in your life. You're also going to want to have fun and experience friends and enjoyment, and also feel a little detached from things, and maybe you'll get over things. Maybe you had a little bit of some battles with that, and you might feel easily ready to detach from it. There will definitely be fast endings and fast track relationships, especially when Venus opposes Mars retrograde at the end of the month. I think it's the end of the month. I didn't quite look, or it's the beginning of December. But it must be at the end of the month, I think. But when that happens, that's going to be a big transit, honestly, because it's going to be opposite, not just Venus, but also Mercury. The sun will be in there. And so we got Mars retrograde opposing it. So right now, there can be some fast track when it comes to those things. Now, I'll talk more as the weeks go on when Mars retrograde ends up being opposite, all the stuff in Sagittarius. So you also may feel like you want to detach from a person or go out and kind of be like a free-loving hippie. You know what? I don't want to be beholden to anyone. I just want to go out and enjoy life and have fun and not be beholden and do what I want. And then we got Mercury trining Jupiter. So again, with the mind, we might receive a positive message. We're going to in one way or another. Sometimes, depending on where it's happening in your chart, it's either going to be a really big positive message or a smaller positive message. Either way, a positive message is a positive message, and that just keeps raising our vibration and bringing us more positive things. So receive a positive message around growth, abundance, or an all-over joyful message. Also, when Mercury trines Jupiter, there's a lot with healing mental wounds and really coming out of a dark place. So a strong sense of rebirth, and a rebirth with self, but also a rebirth with spirituality and wisdom. Maybe some of you are finally awakening and realizing that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, because that's what it is, or really realizing the power of your mind or the power of energy. And if you aren't yet, this might be a journey that you're starting. Maybe 2023 will start that, because I can tell you, I don't know what to tell you. I was going to say I can tell you that's the way to live, but I can't say that because some people aren't in that perception. So for me, though, what I know that makes life go easier, smoother, and what I find joy in is every day showing up or trying to show up as a soulful being, as a soul here, worried about my soul, not so much my human experience in the materialistic realm. Now, I fall short quite often, right? It's not something you just say you're going to do and then do it. We're humans as well, right? We're humans as well that are here with things to learn and grow through and evolve through. And so some days it's easier than others. I can say that. But what I can say is if you're growing your spirituality, you're growing yourself, you're growing that soulful person, that soulful soul, you need, don't get so flustered right away. If you're like, oh my God, I need to do this, the brain wants to overcomplicate things. Say, no, what I'm going to do is one day, each day, one day at a time, I am going to show up for my mind, body, or soul in a soulful way and then let the rest unfold. So today, you might show up by sitting and meditating for 3 minutes. You might show up by praying, on your drive to work. You might show up by taking a really nice walk. You might show up by mending a fight with someone and having a really compassionate, understanding, loving conversation. And that's what I mean. So it's these tiny little baby steps that eventually take over because we like how we feel from these little baby steps and we start to evolve and to grow. So then we want more baby steps and so forth and so on, if you get what I'm saying. So again, this is always, we're spinning through polarity between soul and the human experience, and neither are wrong, neither are right, but I think that there is a good balance between that we need to find a balance between both. And I know for me, what I choose is to be stronger in the soulful part. We can be stronger in either or. And again, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong at all. I'm just speaking what's right for me. And I like to say that out loud because I don't judge people. I don't try to make anyone think or feel a certain way. I just explain what's happening with me. But at the same time, if that's not how you live, I'm okay with that. I don't care. And I think that's one of the issues in the whole world is that people always feel that the other person should feel, think, or do as they do. And that's not reality because we all have our own reality and our own perception. And we can't argue with any of them. We can't. We really can't. That's actually a big pet peeve of mine, not to go off the sidetrack, is that even with politics, with these things like that, we're constantly arguing our side. And we think that someone who has a totally different upbringing, experience, understanding, and perception should absolutely see what we think. That's not how that works. What we can do is try to show up in a conversation with someone being totally open-minded without trying to think of the rebuttal argument, open-minded and open-hearted, and then internalize and take things in and accept both sides. Again, I don't know why I went on that weird little tangent, but I guess it's Mars over my Mercury right now. I definitely have been a little bit spicier in the last week or 2 weeks. I should have realized that, when Mars is in Gemini, think like really sarcastic, think extra sarcasm, a little bit of bitchiness. But when I say, or anger, it's more like attitude. I've definitely been having some attitude. Where did I go yesterday? And this is so my mother. I channel my mother in the best or worst ways. And I was just I hate where my bitchiness can show up where I need to work and I'm not always a soulful being is when I feel slightly inconvenienced. And it's usually if I'm tired, my day is already not going smooth. And I went somewhere yesterday and she's like, did you do this order? And I was like, no, they're just going to do it for me. And she's like, no, you have to do it on the kiosk. And I was like, what? I was like, well, when I came here before, they just did it for me, And she's like, well, you can't. And I was so annoyed and I gave definitely an attitude for 3 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, Colleen, get the fuck over it. I'm like, you don't even deserve, that poor woman doesn't even deserve to have a little bit of an attitude. And it's because you feel like you're slightly inconvenienced, you know what I mean? Of course, who cares? Lose my attitude. So I had to get it together, but I can still, that's one of the ways I fall short like that. If I feel inconvenienced, I can give an attitude. And really, it's a selfish inconvenienced or not selfish, that's not the right word. Not even egotistical. What am I looking for? When you get what you want, you expect something. Do you know what I'm saying? And that. I can't remember the right word for that. But anyways, let's talk about Mars square Neptune, which happens this weekend. That's going to be one of the biggest transits of this weekend that we're really going to be feeling strong. We're going to feel a lot of Jupiter. So what I'm saying is it's not going to be too bad, but it's going to be strong, especially because Mars is retrograding right now. So we're having a relook, a rethink. And Mars retrograde in Gemini, so think mental escapism in every way that we possibly can. And then Neptune in Pisces, so then that's more like leave your body escapism. I want to leave my body. And so Mars rules aggression, our power source, our need to fight or drive for something, our passion, but it also severs things, it ends things. And again, we're in this Mars retrograde right now. So Mars is kind of slowing down, but it's amping up the mental part, if you could say that. So I think this weekend we can experience some reckless energy within ourselves or other people or even in the collective. We might have trouble. Again, when I'm saying this could either be for you or someone in the reflection of you, someone in your life, someone around you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are acting on this, but someone around you might act on it. You might go back to your old ways and your old ways of numbing, your old ways of escaping, your old ways of maybe just having some darker fun. Wanting to escape mentally, emotionally, physically, like one last time, right? That might be a big thing, and hopefully that one last time doesn't harm you. But there's always that chance. Just remember that when you act in a certain way, harm can definitely come. You might just say, you know what, I don't want to feel this anymore, but let me just feel it one last time. And in my experience, there's always another one last time. So you should just nip it in the bud and don't do it one last time, just an FYI, but you're going to do what you want. And the illusion drops off in a big way. So it could be the illusion of someone else that someone else has been showing you or giving you, or it could be your own illusions that you have to reveal to yourself. All of a sudden, you're like, have I really been thinking it that way? Have I really been looking at it that way? Am I trying to convince myself of something? Or maybe someone says to you, hey, you're lying, or hey, you're doing this, or, again, the veil just drops in some big way. The illusion veil. Now, I know that sounds scary, but the illusions have to drop. If you want to be a soulful being, you have to live in truth. And part of that is accepting truth, whatever that is. We put the illusions up in other people and ourselves around us so we don't have to live in truth, because truth means we feel, and feeling is scary to us. However, the more we feel, the less scary it becomes. I can promise you that. We might also feel easily triggered by anger, frustrations, of the delusions of others. And again, we could be giving someone our own delusions and they could pretty much tell us how it is. And the truth talks or get it together talks are definitely going to happen this weekend. And, I'm talking about the truth talks. Again, there's a lot with this Mars square Neptune about truth. I think with Mars, Mars is a malefic. So think of Mars as a liar, essentially. I'm not saying that all Mars are liar, all Mars ruled signs are liars, not at all. But, with Mars, it tends to want to lie. It tends to want to act bad. And I'm saying lying because it's happening in Gemini, which is the communication, the mental sign. So there could be some lies that are extinguished this weekend, for better or for worse. And with Neptune, there's that, I'm just going to be lost and not care and be in this other world, which also is sort of like a life lie to ourselves or to another being. So there could be truth talks, and don't run from that truth talk. We need to hear the truth. I think that we, as a society, and I don't know if it is just because of the internet, all the changes we've had over the last 15, 20 years, all of that, I think that we live in a world who doesn't like truth. Now, you say that one way, we live in a root and all we see is truth. However, we're on social media, and all I've been watching is people arguing about other people's truth, or people saying that isn't true, or you can't post this, or that isn't that, blah, 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 blah. But we can't run from it. So I think as a society, we're very scared of truth right now. And and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. We're coddling kids' feelings. Now, if you talk to my kids, they know I do not coddle their feelings, and I tell them the truth because, trust me, I know too many people that go out in this world and they are not ready for the truth. They are absolutely not ready because they never had to have truth when they were kids. Their kids coddle. And I'm not judging parents who coddle or don't say anything, but I can tell you one thing. I observe people, I study people for a very long time and myself, and And when you deny people of truth, it's never ends up good in the end. We think it's good because, oh, if I deny this truth, like we or they don't have to feel something. We don't have to acknowledge something, but it always comes out. The truth always comes out. And that's another thing. The truth will reveal itself. So if you are waiting for that, if you're trying to find the truth of someone, or someone wronged you and the truth, and the truth has to come out, this weekend very much might be. The truth always comes out. Now, I kind of went on longer about this week's transit, so I'll talk about what happened last week for a little bit. I had a very intense week last week. And again, it felt like, I was running on empty, but still high energy, which was like the Saturn and the Uranus combined into that. Saturn took things, stopped things, made me slow down, be very tired, yet my mind was on hyperdrive and I was able to go. I don't think I slept well at least 3 or 4 nights last week. Like I'm talking maybe 2 or 3 hours, and that never ever happens to me. There were definitely some outside situations too that I had to take control of, have some accountability with, and in even a few endings in my life, I all of a sudden realized, hey, these certain things are not aligning with my spirit self anymore, so I need to remove them or figure out what I'm going to do with them because something doesn't feel good anymore with that. And that definitely set off a whole week. So I was like, it's funny. This was happening too. The eclipse was happening in my 9th house with a natal Jupiter, and Uranus is right there, but I just have a natal Jupiter. And I definitely had to make some changes, or I felt compelled to realign my mind, body, and soul with the changes I needed to make and go back to a stronger spiritual being. I am a spiritual being, but there was a lot of ways that I'm like, I wanted to be more connected. Life gets busy, work, career, children, all of that stuff sort of can take us away. And I was like, okay, how do I make a concerted effort every day to show up for myself? So this weekend, I went with my good friend Amelia. Shout out Amelia. She's been original, longtime listener from 3 years ago when this podcast was just my hair clients. And we became good friends and just really such good energy, a really good person to be with. So I said, hey, I need you to come with me. I know this might not totally be your thing, but I need you to come see Poringai. I think I say it wrong. Wait, Poringai. Okay, so he's this Brazilian, Brazilian, Mexican, and something else. I can't remember. A sound music healer. And he was at the Lithuanian Music Hall up at Port Richmond, and someone told me about it, and I was like, yes, I want to go. Well, I kind of knew what to expect, but I didn't know what to expect. And it was unbelievable. It really, again, there's something about being in the presence of other spiritual people and just being so open and flow, right? Everyone was just flowing with them. And then you hear the music, and I didn't stop dancing. I could have danced probably till 5 a.m, totally sober, mind you. I would like to add, as I was dancing, totally no ecstasy, none of that shit. I was just dancing and literally going with the rhythm of the music. And when we're dancing and we're healing, and there's a lot of prayer, there's a lot of those things, I can feel it moving in me, moving out of me, moving out of the chakras. I know my lower chakras needed to realign and things like that. And it was really busted me wide open. I was like, okay, I am now ready to, I wrought up my energy. I don't know if that's the right word. I kind of did a lot of shaking and I busted it open, and now I'm ready to let the light in again. I'm ready to let the growth in. I'm ready to let the light in. I'm ready to get myself together. Definitely check him out though. I'm gonna because I haven't been able to stop listening to his music. He has remixes which make it a little more dancey. He has very Native American based songs that make it more chant and meditation wise, but I'm gonna spell his name for you. Porangui. Okay, look him up, especially if you're into that type of music. Look him up and just vibe with him. He's such a vibe. And that really allowed me to, again, like I said, bust open some blockages and let some light through. And that was really important. And then on Saturday, I went to Fabrica, which was very cool in Philadelphia. I'm going to share this and shut up because you have to go. It was a lot of fun. Great food, great vibe, really entertaining. And they have these entertainers. And I think anyone can sign up for entertaining. You just have to be good at it. And it was beautiful. It was men and women. And they were doing acrobats. And they were half naked. And there was like these two women that came out in like these, they were like lamp shades. And, you know, like sexy lamp shades and dancing around. And it was definitely like... And again, the food was really good. It was one of the coolest and my favorite restaurants or experiences in Philadelphia. I'm not even kidding you. Check out Fabrica's online, or it's over in Fishtown. Get some friends. This is definitely like would be a fun friend weekend, friend date night getaway. Definitely do that. Check that out. Okay. Whew, hopefully I didn't go off too much. Thank you for you listeners. I know I'd say it every time, but you guys can follow me when sometimes my words are all over the place. I don't know if you know this, but I have ADHD and also a slight form of dyslexia. So if you've been following me, maybe sometimes, or even on social media, you'll see that I'll switch words around. Like I'll switch half of the sentence around and I'll be like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And all of a sudden I have to show it to someone and then I switch it back the other way. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So sometimes I know I say things backwards on here. I guess if you've been listening to me for a long time, you know how to follow along. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay. I love you. I hope all of you have a fabulous weekend and week. And remember, you are here to have a soulful experience. All right? You're here to have a soulful experience. I love you. Have a fabulous week. Goodbye.